Beneath the deepest haunting moonlight of the 14th century, a lone man led a camel across the fading borders of vanishing ancient kingdoms. He was Ibn Battuta, the solitary wanderer who measured the breadth of the entire world with nothing but his own 2 feet. Tonight let us follow in his distant footsteps and drift into that timeless era of endless movement and serene quiet. If traveling is an incurable longing that settles deep within the soul, then Ibn Battuta was perhaps the one afflicted most deeply by this wandering fever. From the golden cities of Mali hidden deep within the African wilderness to the eastern shores of China, in the final years of the Yuan dynasty he beheld all the grand splendor and lonely desolation of human civilizations, yet in the endless journey he somehow forgot the way back to his own homeland. As the map of the old world shifted silently amid brutal warfare and the creeping shadow of the Black Death, Ibn Battuta walked a road so long its end could never be seen. His journey was far more than merely crossing physical distances. It was a quiet exile of the soul. Close your eyes, sink into the slow, soothing flow of this narration, and accompany this timeless traveler as he walks the final stretch of his extraordinary life journey. Picture the quiet morning breeze sweeping over the coastal city of Tangier in the year 1325, the wind tangling gently in the robes of a young man barely 21 years old. He stood alone outside the ancient city gate, mounted upon a thin, weary donkey with no servants at his side, no vast fortune stored away, not even a clear thought of whether he would ever return to his birthplace. This young wanderer was Ibn Battuta tonight, accompanied by the softly flickering glow of the hearth fire. We walk fully into the untold life of this remarkable soul through this tranquil tale meant only for quiet reflection. Once he stepped beyond that city gate, his journey stretched on for 29 full years, covering more than 120,000 kilometers, a distance great enough to circle the earth 3 times over. He crossed the scorching rolling heat of the Sahara Desert, witnessed the bustling glowing lights of Quanzhou harbor in the declining years of the Yuan dynasty, and narrowly escaped the cold grasp of death amid the spreading horror of the Black Death. People remember him as the greatest traveler of the medieval age, yet through all those lonely endless days and nights the thing he faced most often was only the quiet sound of his own steady breathing in the still dark hours. This was never merely a magnificent voyage of geographical discovery, it was the quiet journey of a man fleeing the ordinary world, searching for an unshakable anchor to give meaning to his existence. On this peaceful quiet night let us walk with his slow heavy footsteps and feel the calm flowing rhythm belonging to the 14th century. Ibn Battuta's journey began with the simple devout duty of every faithful Muslim to make the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. In those early days he still carried the pure innocence of youth and the reserved dignity born from growing up in a family of legal scholars, yet travel holds a subtle magical power. It gradually strips away all worldly labels and social identities, leaving only one simple unchanging title: a passing traveler. On his long road toward Egypt he fell gravely ill, overcome by a raging fever that nearly cast him down from the back of his donkey. Determined not to fall behind his traveling caravan, he bound himself firmly to the saddle, drifting half-conscious through the sun-scorched desolate wilderness. That stillness, hovering close to death, made him realize for the first time how tiny, fragile and insignificant human life appeared beside the boundless vastness of nature, no larger than a single grain of sand upon the endless dunes. When he finally stood beneath the towering pyramids, watching their massive stone structures cast long solemn shadows across the sunset, something deep within him was forever changed. He could no longer content himself with merely reaching a single fixed destination. Instead he grew captivated by the uncertain wandering magic of living always upon the road. He came to understand that stepping into a new city felt like wandering into a fragile dream destined to fade away with time. Amid the crowded lively streets of Cairo and the slow gentle flow of the Nile River, Ibn Battuta made a quiet life-altering choice. He resolved never to take the shortest easiest path, but to walk the farthest winding roads, to witness the hidden wonders of the world never written within the pages of books. The true enchantment of travel often lies in leading wanderers into the hidden gaps where royal power and human fate intertwine. Ibn Battuta was far more than a mere observer passing through foreign lands. Endowed with profound knowledge of Islamic law and religious doctrine, he became an honored guest welcomed by sultans and kings across many realms. He once served as a high judge within the royal court of the Sultan of Delhi, indulging in unimaginable luxury and splendor while also witnessing the cold cruelty and dark violence hidden behind royal grandeur. The Sultan was a man consumed by endless suspicion and violent temper. Each morning Ibn Battuta would wake with quiet unease, silently grateful that his head still remained safely upon his shoulders. Inside that gilded luxurious palace he felt trapped within a splendid cage. Growing weary of the hollow cold falseness of worldly power, he began to long for the simple quiet nights spent sleeping beneath the open wilderness sky, craving the free untainted air far away from court intrigue. To escape the suffocating tension of Delhi's royal circle, he volunteered to lead a diplomatic mission traveling eastward toward the legendary empire of silk and ancient civilization, the Yuan dynasty of China. He lingered for a long while among the scattered peaceful islands of the Maldives, one of the rare soft gentle interludes amid his lifelong wandering there. He married, raised children, settled simple legal disputes beneath the shade of coconut groves, and listened to the endless rhythm of ocean waves rolling against the sandy shore. Yet his soul could never remain rooted in one place. An innate restlessness flowed forever within him like an unquenchable homesickness, though his true homeland always lay further along the road ahead. Once again he boarded a great sailing ship drifting toward the rising sun, journeying deeper into the far eastern lands, caught in the quiet turmoil of great historical change. When Ibn Battuta finally arrived at the thriving port of Quanzhou, known in his time as Zaytun, the reign of the Yuan dynasty was already slipping toward its final decline. It was a dazzling, bustling metropolis beyond all imagination. Countless massive trading ships lined the river, their dense sails blocking out the bright sunlight above. In his travel journals he wrote with awe that silk here was as cheap as ordinary cotton fabric, and porcelain craftsmanship reached the delicate perfection of fine works of art. Yet beneath overwhelming prosperity he sensed subtle undercurrents of unrest and quiet unease stirring beneath the surface. As a devout Muslim traveling within a vast empire of mixed faiths and unfamiliar customs, he experienced a profound loneliness unlike any he had known before. Though local Muslim merchants received him with warm hospitality, he still felt alienated by unfamiliar languages, strange daily habits and ways of thinking that separated him from this distant Eastern world. He listened to the soft music of court musicians upon boats drifting across West Lake and watched the quiet sunset sink beyond the city walls of Kanbalik. He admired the orderly, well-structured governance of the great empire, yet felt confused by the immense cultural divide separating East and West. This quiet confusion made him understand clearly that no matter how far he traveled, he would always remain a stranger from Tangier, standing apart from every foreign land he visited, standing upon the busy harbor watching chests of goods loaded steadily onto waiting ships. His heart stirred not with the excitement of new discovery but with a deep growing weariness. His experiences across the Far East unfolded like a magnificent colorful scroll already beginning to fade, carrying the haunting tragic grandeur of an era drawing to its close. The journey home always demands far greater courage than the journey outward, especially when a wanderer returns to find the world completely changed from the one he left behind in 1348. As Ibn Battuta began his long westward journey, the Black Death swept relentlessly across the entire Mediterranean world. Cities he once passed through now lay littered with lifeless bodies, once bustling marketplaces fallen into deathly silence. In Damascus he watched vast crowds gather for grand public prayers, begging divine mercy to halt the unstoppable spread of the plague. Yet in the face of absolute overwhelming death, all human reason, logic and prayer seemed powerless and frail. Against all odds he survived the devastating pandemic, carrying the dazed disbelief of one spared from catastrophe, and finally stepped back into his hometown of Tangier. His parents had long since passed away and most old familiar friends had vanished into the shadow of time and disease. He sat alone upon the ancient stone steps of his hometown for a long quiet while realizing he could no longer adapt to the still quiet stationary life of ordinary people. Within only a few years he set off once more, this time journeying southward, crossing the vast endless sands of the Sahara Desert toward the powerful Mali Empire. Upon the banks of the Niger River he beheld royal thrones adorned with gleaming gold and barefoot messengers traveling across the realm. The legendary golden city of Timbuktu shimmered with hazy dreamlike light amid the swirling desert winds. This final leg of his lifelong journey felt like a quiet reconciliation with his own wandering soul. Beneath the countless twinkling stars of the Sahara he finally found the eternal inner peace he had spent decades searching for. In 1354 the aging traveler finally laid down his walking staff at the request of the Sultan of Morocco. With the help of the royal scribe Ibn Juzay he began to dictate his famous travel memoir known simply as the Rila. Vanished kingdoms, cruel royal sultans, peaceful island life and the bustling twilight glory of Yuan dynasty ports all came alive once more through the calm gentle flow of his narration. His tone remained steady and detached, as if recounting distant dreams that belonged to another man entirely. People often asked him what wisdom and gain he had carried away from 29 years of endless wandering. He would offer only a soft quiet smile and gesture toward the unchanging quiet night stretching beyond the window. What he had gained was the profound understanding of the world's true nature. All things in life are forever flowing, shifting and transient, and only the act of walking, wandering, seeking remains eternally real. In his later years he lived a quiet, humble Life serving as a local judge in Morocco, passing away peacefully around the year 1369, he left behind no vast wealth or grand estate, only a timeless volume filled with tales of distant exotic lands shining brightly amid the dust of centuries. Tonight, as we close our eyes, we may follow the spirit of Ibn Battuta, setting out upon an endless journey within our own dreams. Amid the flowing shifting light and shadow, we come to realize every final destination is merely the beginning of another quiet journey. Let your breath grow slow, light and steady, allowing your consciousness to sink deep into tranquil stillness. May you find your own inner peace along the quiet road of endless wandering. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with the calm freedom of the open road.